Today is April 1st, and it is Census Day. That is where every person in the United States should be counted. And by constitutional mandate, it also has to happen every 10 years. But because of the coronavirus, the job of getting an accurate count has gotten a whole lot harder. The census determines representation in Congress and also helps divide up billions of dollars for each state. But the pandemic has forced the Census Bureau to suspend field operations until April 15th at the earliest. So now groups focused on fair representation are getting pretty creative to try and reach millions of Americans. I want to bring in former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams. She was the Democratic leader in the Georgia House of Representatives. She is also the founder of Fair Fight Action and Fair Count. It's an organization working to make sure the hardest to count populations are being counted in this year's census. Leader Abrams, good to see you. Thanks for joining me from the home office. Your group had a lot of events planned around the census, a bus tour with DJs, meetings with faith leaders and other elected officials, all to engage Americans, to get them to complete the census. The pandemic's thrown a wrench into all of that. How is it changing your strategy?
Well, first of all, Craig, thank you so much for having me. And my best wishes to everyone. I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy. At Fair Count, we had to adapt, but that's part of what we planned for. We didn't plan for a pandemic, but we planned for difficulties. That's why we were able to turn our field operation into a phone banking operation, text banking operation. We continue to work with faith leaders because we know that they remain in constant contact with their constituents, with their congregations, and we provided them with tools. We know that there are community groups that are still going to be in contact because in a moment of pandemic, people still need resources. They still need help. And so we're using the relationships we've built since March of 2019 to shift our deployment strategy, but not shift our mission, which is to ensure that every hard to count community will be counted in Georgia and around the country.
You're out with a new op-ed in Cosmo this morning. I read it this morning, and you argue about how important the census, how crucial it is for our democracy at large. In the simplest of terms, for folks who are watching right now, folks who are listening on Sirius Satellite Radio, explain why every American needs to fill out those census forms.
So the census is used to allocate $1.5 trillion every year. It's also used to reapportion the 435 congressional members. What that means is that each state, if you got more population by a significant amount, you get someone extra, which means a state that lost population loses representation. And it's used to draw the political lines from school board to county commissioner, all the way up to your state legislature and your congressperson. So here's the way to think about it. It's as though you're being invited to a party. And if you don't RSVP, instead of getting the steak and the great seat in order to see the concert, you get a bologna sandwich and you're put out in the garage. We need folks to show up. We need them to RSVP so that for the next 10 years, we are ready to serve them. Because if you're not counted, you're invisible. And when you finally need help, the help won't be available for you, or at least it won't be at the level that you need. That's why we have to fill out the census.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.